What's up, guys? Welcome to the channel today. Wednesday is our Dynasty day, and I am stoked, man. I absolutely love Dynasty. So thank you guys for joining the channel. Make sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already. All of those things do really matter when it comes to pushing the channel out, helping get views and such. And I love giving you guys these free advice videos. You know, that's what I'm here for. But let's get today's video kicked off. It's going to be 5 guys I'm looking to sell right now in Dynasty. I'm going to give you some trades, some real life Dynasty trades that have gone through. And just we can kind of talk about them to kind of get the value and why I'm looking to sell these guys. So first guy I want to talk about today is going to be Michael Pittman. Now, I do think Michael Pittman is actually a very good NFL player, and I usually try to build my takes based on talent and not mostly situation. But when it comes down to it, the start to the season has been very, very rough for Michael Pittman. In my Monday reaction video, I was talking about some concerning stats regarding Anthony Richardson and his passing. Just this last weekend, I mean, Pittman had his best game of the year, but it was with Joe Flacco throwing him the ball. None of his best games came with Anthony Richardson. Last year, Pittman had a good, solid year. It was with Gardner Minshew throwing him the ball, not Michael Pittman. So for me, I just don't know if I see that elite ceiling for Michael Pittman. So I'm going to go over some real trades that have gone down and why I kind of would consider moving them. First one's going to be Michael Pittman for Kareem Hunt and Jordan Addison. I would probably just take Jordan Addison straight up. So if you can get running back depth like Kareem Hunt thrown in on top of this trade, I would definitely take a trade like this personally for me. You know, I just think with Addison, he's tied to a better offense, and even the number 2 there probably is going to be better than the number 1 in Indy. Here's 3 in a row that I kind of liked all 3 of. Michael Pittman for Ladd McConkey. Same thing. I think McConkey's showing something that Justin Herbert's like getting him the ball. He's getting open. He's making plays. He's scoring touchdowns. Michael Pittman for Josh Jacobs. Wouldn't say do this trade if you're a rebuilder, but if you're trying to win games and you're a contending team, I think I would prefer Josh Jacobs. And Michael Pittman, Rico Dowdle for T. Higgins. T. Higgins off to a slow start. I do still think T. Higgins is going to have some good games this year, and I just don't think he's going to stay on the Bengals. I think he's going to find himself in a better target share next year once he's off the Bengals and away from Jamar Chase. Personally, last one is more of a mixed bag, but J.K. Dobbins, Michael Pittman, Najee Harris for Joe Mixon, Devonta Smith. I love Devonta Smith personally, and if you're getting Joe Mixon on top of that, who's still going to be a very elite running back when he gets back on the field from that ankle sprain, I would do this trade all the way. Like I said, it's not Michael Pittman's talent. I think it's the mix of some other weapons there. Josh Downs looked really good. Alec Pierce has had a couple games. Adonai Mitchell still there. And I just don't know if the passing is going to go Michael Pittman's way for him to be a wide receiver 1 in Dynasty. The next guy I want to talk about is Zach Charbonnet. Obviously, he had a couple big weeks with Kenneth Walker out, but Kenneth Walker returns last week, and he's just so freaking good, dude. 3 touchdowns against the Lions. Kenneth Walker is so much better than Zach Charbonnet. And it's nothing against Charbonnet, man. He is a good player, but he is not Kenneth Walker, and I just don't really see him as more than a high-end handcuff, really. I mean, he's going to get on the field. He's going to get some touches when Walker plays. But if you can pivot off Zach Charbonnet to get any of these guys I'm going to talk about, I think I would do those trades. First one, Zach Charbonnet for Rashid Shaheed. Shaheed's someone we love on this channel. He's just continued to show. Now he's getting some high PPR performances. He obviously has the big playability. I think he's just developing into a really good receiver. He's made enough big plays that cornerbacks are starting to respect his speed, which is giving him a chance to run some underneath routes and rack up a lot more yards or just catches every game. You know, look at the box score from his last couple games. I like this one as Charbonnet and Wan'Dale Robinson, who's someone I like too, but Brian Robinson's such a stud. If you can make a trade like this, I definitely would look into doing it. Last one, Zach Charbonnet for Bucky Irving. Talked about buying Bucky Irving on the channel last week. I think Bucky's slowly taking over that backfield. I like everything I've seen from him. Go back and watch the video from last week. I'll link it in the description here. But Bucky Irving, man, I think he looks good. I think he's taking over the Tampa backfield. And I would much rather have someone who has a chance to win the backfield instead of a Zach Charbonnet type who is just kind of tied as a handcuff. Last one, Zach Charbonnet for Chase Brown. Spoke about Chase Brown Monday. Same thing. Chase Brown finding himself in a split backfield last week, kind of the best split he's had all year. If you could pivot Zach Charbonnet, who's a handcuff, into someone in a murky split backfield who still has that upside, it's definitely something I would do. Next sell is going to be Kirk Cousins. Obviously, this is a super flex sell, 1 QB league. Whatever. I'm not going to talk about Dynasty 1 QB leagues. You know, there's elite guys and then there's a bunch of other guys. But Kirk Cousins in a 2 QB league, I think he had some high hopes coming into the season. Obviously, he's still coming off the injury. But Kirk Cousins only been a top 12 QB 1 out of 4 games. It's just not how they're running their offense. You know, they're running their offense through Bijan Robinson, and they're trying to play defensive. And look, the team can succeed without Kirk Cousins being a top 10 quarterback. And that's kind of just what I'm concerned with. Some trade offers, I think, for Kirk Cousins here. Kirk Cousins for Justin Fields straight up. I would do that. I think Justin Fields has more upside with the rushing involved. And Justin Fields looked pretty damn good, you know. Last one, Kirk Cousins, J.K. Dobbins for Baker Mayfield. I do like J.K. Dobbins, but tearing up at QB in a super flex league is usually worth it if you're just trading a, you know, RB2 like J.K. Dobbins. So I'd love to get Baker Mayfield. Baker Mayfield looks great. He has great weapons. He looks to be in a great system. These are all things I would much rather have than Kirk Cousins, and I just don't really think he has the upside much anymore. Little passing insight for Kirk Cousins. Kirk Cousins against the blitz, just completing 48.5%. That's third worst in the NFL. It's not good. That's not a good statistic, and it is not something you're looking for out of a guy you want to put onto your roster just every single week. Next guy's going to be a wide receiver. That's going to be Christian Watson. I've been out on Watson for quite a long time. Obviously, the injury happened, and it's not necessarily just because of the injury, but he does seem to always get hurt. It really just is I think Christian Watson's going to be out a little bit. Dontavian Wicks looks absolutely amazing. Jaden Reed looks amazing. Romeo Doubs has his role, and I think there's a chance that Wicks doesn't give back the snaps to Watson. Wicks just looks like a better player to me. He performs better. His stats are better. It doesn't really take much of watching Watson's games, man. He's just not that involved. He did score in the first game, but other than that, he's just not really doing much, really. Trade idea here, and I think this is the best way to do it. I think I'd go after some future capital with Christian Watson. Could I get a late second next year? Could I find someone who still likes Christian Watson? And could I get just some draft capital that will slowly grow in value, and I can either draft someone or I can use that pick to move it for someone I would prefer. Last guy in the video is going to be Keon Coleman. You know, it's nothing against Keon Coleman. I think Keon Coleman could be a good player. It's just deja vu all over with how they're using this guy. It's just so Gabe Davis-y. He goes downfield. He gets back shoulder throws. They try to hit him. And even if he makes some plays, the way this offense looks, it's going through Josh Allen, James Cook, Dalton Kincaid, Khalil Shakir. I just don't really think there's space for Keon Coleman to be any more than Gabe Davis. And right now, with the value you're kind of getting for Keon Coleman, it's just more than Keon Coleman is going for more than you ever would have got for Gabe Davis, except at his peak. And I think you would have looked smart for selling Gabe Davis then, which is why I'm going to do the same thing here with Keon Coleman. My trade idea here, and this on KTC is even saying it's a slight overpay, but Keon Coleman in a second for a first next year. Can I get into the first round to try to get an elite player with someone that I don't think is going to be an elite player ever? He could have good weeks, he could have good games, he could have good stretches, but I don't see him as an elite player. But, you know, just like we talked about it, Keon Coleman, he's had some good numbers, and it's nothing against any of his analytical things. I just think the numbers aren't really going to stack up for Keon Coleman come the end of the year or moving forward. So thank you guys for tuning into the video. Please make sure to like the video, subscribe if you haven't, comment any questions, trade questions below. Love helping you guys out. Make sure to come back on Friday for our next video, a little Flex Friday action. But thank you guys for tuning in, and I will catch you later.